You want to know why Costa Rica starts to suck after you've lived here for quite a while? Well, stay to the end, and I'm gonna let you know some things that you can avoid so that this doesn't happen to you. So many people, when they move down here, Costa Rica actually starts to put a bad taste in their mouth. And a lot of times this is due because of the setup. It's the expectations that they have and how they enter into the lifestyle of Costa Rica. Costa Rica is the utopia. It's going to fix all problems. And Costa Rica is a lot of things, but it's not heaven. And so that means there's things that are not perfect. And when people come in and they enter, vacation mode, they're going to, set up a house the way it's perfectly supposed to be. The community is going to be as such, and they're just going to put themselves in the box. They start to kind of live in like vacation mode, if you will. And so the first thing that I want to talk about that really makes Costa Rica suck is trying to live in a bubble. Because when you're living in a bubble, the thing busts. Because the United States is, Costa Rica is not the United States in Central America. That means you're spending a lot more money, so it affects your budget. And you realize that you can't sustain this lifestyle forever. Even if you have a decent amount of money, living in a bubble a lot of times means for a lot of expats is not learning the language. So they come in over here and they live in the bubble, they live up in the mountains, they live a little bit far away, and so they only come into the town and mingle just enough to get their necessities. And unfortunately, this is not sustainable because the community that they found is maybe coming and going, or maybe they can hang tight for that, but the community that they're developing leaves, and so they're always like leaving friends. They're not developing a relationship with long-standing Ticos who are not in for business, but actually for community. They're not developing those things. And so the time that they have here starts to suck, for lack of better words. And so that is one of the things that I always teach, in the CTI program is to, close out transition. But this part is to integrate and to stop to have, coming in here and just buying stuff and then getting sick of it and like, oh, Costa Rica sucks, and leave. The other thing that people do that really upsets the balance of things is they don't have a clear why. People that move here that don't have a clear why end up losing their way. They end up forgetting why they moved to Costa Rica. They forget that when they come here, they're going to have to transition and learn the language because the native language here is not English. So when they're thinking about community, unless they're only thinking about being in that bubble with expats, they're like, okay, they're not going to have a community, with Ticos because the language, again, is Spanish. Yes, there are Ticos that speak English, but again, when you're trying to make a community and you found the, one Tico in your area or, for out exaggeration, and you end up going to a party or, get invited to a birthday party or something, and the whole conversation in this whole place is, Spanish, then you're going to feel kind of left out when that person walks away to have conversations or hears a jokes and laugh and you don't get it because you're not involved. And so you need to actually have a clear why that actually makes sense for being here. And so that you don't lose your way, that if you're part of your why is community because you had one in the United States, language is something that you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn to adjust. There's a whole list of other things. But if again, you need to have clarity on your why because fuzzy targets don't get hit. The next thing that I'll say that, which I really kind of just alluded to that makes Costa Rica suck, if you're not willing to learn the language. A lot of people come here and, you'll feel like, you're an outsider, especially when somebody's telling a joke, they're being nice. You don't know if they're talking about you. You don't know. Those are the assumptions that we have. But unfortunately, half the time, because I'm speaking more language, it's not even about you. And even if they're pointing, it's not even a big deal because it's something that's irrelevant. And so what I'm finding, the more that I know Spanish, the more that I'm fitting in. I can laugh at the right time. I can add my little 2 cents in. And those things actually take time. And so, no, you don't have to learn Spanish, before you get here, but it's something that you're going to have to do to actually establish community and a good relationship. Because any relationship that you develop that's English-based, yeah, it's a good start, especially with expats. And if you find some Ticos that speak English, that's a plus. But when you start to get invited to fiestas or parties, birthday parties, whatever it is, and the dialogue or the games, I've been in places where the games were in Spanish, and it was like, what happened? What did I miss? Why is everybody laughing? you get that a few enough times and you're like, oh, I feel like the outsider again. And so without trying to develop Spanish, and getting over those uncomfortable moments, Costa Rica is just going to seem like it sucks because you're going to feel stuck. And so that's one thing that you need to focus on. If you have visions of having a good community for yourself, for your spouse or your kids, it is one thing that's paramount to making life in Costa Rica enjoyable. Another thing that you're like, Keanon, are you sure? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. At least it worked for me. The thing that stopped Costa Rica from sucking was honestly to create a routine. I had routines in the United States. You don't even think about them. But if you come here and your first routine is, oh, where we're gonna go? Let's go here, let's go there. But after a while, if you don't have a routine that kind of matches your why and your purpose, again, part of my routine was learning Spanish, but another part of my routine was exercise, as simple as exercising. So that may, mean that I go out and do Zumba, or I'll go on a walk with some friends, and I'm finding a routine. Even if I'm just staying fit for myself, I'm ready for the next event. So when someone says, hey, let's go, to this particular place and you're gonna have to walk with, I'm okay. And so having some basic routines, I'll say it, one other powerful one for me was honestly reading the Bible, because it felt connected. So I felt like I was connected a little bit, and helped me during the transition a lot, was I was connected to what I was used to in the United States. I'm still have that here, so everything is not completely foreign. I had something to rely on. And so, of course, keeping prayer life in balance, and not just saying, oh, vacation, this is all we're going to do. But prayer life, exercise, just some basic habits, calling people on Zoom if you're used to calling people. Keep some of those routines on. Now, of course, there's a lot that's changing and a lot that you're going to be growing, but you don't want to just throw everything out. You're going to actually want to start with some routines that actually make you feel comfortable, because those things kind of make you feel like, oh, there's a balance. And so when you got the balance, it's a lot easier to say, oh, no, this doesn't suck. Oh, or this routine or this goal that I'm, keeping up with, especially Spanish, is helping me to move forward to the rest of my purpose. And so that's why having a routine, it really helps out, especially when you're in a place that's new or that's foreign. Another one that I'll say that helped me along the way, that I can't not deny, is actually having a small group in my church. And I ended up with two. I had a local one and I had one that was kind of international. And so having community with people that you can understand, share your problems with, really helps. And so especially your local one, when I say, hey, my birthday's coming up, I don't have anybody local to celebrate, and the pandemic has just ended, they were there to support me. Also, they were also there to help me say, when I said, hey, I want to know other parts of, Costa Rica, like Guanacaste, but I really don't want to be there as a tourist. They were there to, say, hey, you can stay with this family. And so those things are very powerful. So yes, the community is important, but not just any community. I do recommend getting a church home. And for those who are scared to speak Spanish, I do recommend a Spanish-speaking church home, because again, once you get integrated and you find people that are able to be patient with you and spend time, and you're going to see them every Sunday anyway. And if you're in a small group, it might be another additional day. Then you start to spend more and more time, not just learning the language, but knowing the person, and developing more intimacy, and a platonic intimacy, if you will, with those particular sets of group of people, so that, that Costa Rica doesn't begin to suck, because now you have a community that's getting stronger and stronger by the week. And so that's what I would definitely recommend for those who are just starting the journey. Heck, anybody who's actually been here a long time and you're looking for a way to find to get in, those are things that I would definitely recommend that you would try. So if you want to know my top 10 don'ts that you need to know before you move to Costa Rica, check this video out. And until then, I will see you on the other side.